Some political news. When asked whether he would debate former President Trump, President Biden said it depends on his behavior. It's odd because usually when you hear the words Trump, Biden, and depends in the same sentence, it's about something else.
Oh, boy, Joe Biden's losing all his pals. They're actually starting to make fun of him. That's an old Bob Dole joke that they recycled all these years later. It's really a hateful bunch of people, isn't it? Yes, it is. But Joe Biden, they might not show him those clips because you wouldn't want to upset a man his age by showing him the jokes they're telling about him on late night television. Well, happy Tuesday to you and welcome. Welcome back to our humble radio broadcast. We got, what do we have? 2 bags full, 3 bags full? Because Democrats just keep on giving, don't they? See, now we're going to back and fund the cannibals. Joe Biden and the cannibals. It could be like a punk band. Joey and the Cannibals. We got the cannibal gang that has taken over the nation of Haiti, which the Clintons fixed, the Clinton Foundation and Bill and Hillary Clinton. They went down there. They just went for the Mogambo. You know what I'm talking about? Wink, wink. He likes him some Mogambo. So they went to Haiti, and they saved it after a big earthquake. And now, the Prime Minister fled the country. First, he went to the Dominican Republic next door, where my best girl and I have been on vacation. I wouldn't recommend it. And then he fled to Puerto Rico, beautiful Puerto Rico, which is American soil. And then he resigned. He waited until he got to Puerto Rico because he was head of state, prime minister, and he fled. And he went to Puerto Rico, and then he said, I'm not going back there ever. My home country, it's a beep hole extraordinaire. He knows. So he fled. He got out, then he resigned. He's never going back. I'll bet you money on that. And he left it to Barbecue and the Cannibal Gang. So it could be another band name, Barbecue and the Cannibals. See, that's because that is, I'm telling you, all the fine young cannibals. And now our Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, who's the worst Secretary of State ever. Can you name a success of Antony Blinken as our chief diplomat, as our Secretary of State? The wheels are coming off all over the world. There's war in Europe, there's war in the Middle East, and then there's another war in the Middle East, and then another war in the Middle East, and then the Houthis, and then Iran is behind everything, and we're funding Iran rather than trying to choke them. And we're helping Russia through our energy policies. We're helping Putin and Russia so he can fund his war against Ukraine. And our Secretary of State is just a dim-witted, he's walking around batting his eyes like a bimbo. And yesterday he came out and announced that we're going to be sending a bunch of stuff to the cannibals. They're cannibals running a country not too far off our coast. And by the way, what have we had, Michael? I think more than 75,000 illegal aliens from cannibal-strewn Haiti have come across our southern border this fiscal year. The government doesn't use the calendar year. Why would they use a calendar year? They use a fiscal year. So starting October 1st, they have their own calendar. Damn the Gregorians. We're going with the U.S. government calendar. And so October 1st to today, more than 75,000 illegal aliens, which is what they're called, Joe Biden, you maroon. Illegal aliens from Haiti, which is now being run by cannibals. And that's okay. And the Democrats, they said, you know what they need? You know what the cannibals need? They need our support. They need our money. They need supplies from us because they're good people, the Democrats. They love cannibalism. Also, the ship is en route. I told you yesterday, it's a ship. No, it's a ship. And it's en route from Virginia to the Eastern Mediterranean, the Eastern Med. And the ship is the kind of ship that you would use to build a port for terrorists because the Democrats see a need and they address it. The Ayatollahs in Tehran, need billions and billions of dollars to fuel terrorism around the world and certainly around the region. And the Biden administration steps up just like the Obama-Biden administration did and provides billions and billions to the terrorists in Tehran. Why do you think they call it Tehran? Terrorist, you think same root? I'm thinking in Latin though, which is kind of weird. And now, in addition to funding Tehran and now Hamas and supporting Hamas, we're going to support Barbecue and the gang in Haiti, who are cannibals. I don't know if you saw the video that resurfaced over the weekend. Apparently the video is a couple years old, but one of Barbecue's boys eating the flesh off of the arm of a human being that they set on fire in the middle of a street because they knew that would get them Democrat Party support in the United States, and they were right. They were right again. They're right so often, aren't they? And we've got a lot of news related to a lot of stuff. We've got Biden's budget for 2025 is another sign of mental illness and another reason to impeach Joe Biden. The details of the budget are crazy, absolutely nuts. $7.3 trillion budget, and it will cause the national debt to skyrocket. Over the next 10 years, Joe Biden will be long gone. He doesn't care. So we've got all kinds of crazy stuff. And Joe Biden, you may have heard, he said he will debate Donald Trump depending on how he behaves. It's not a high school classroom. This is for the presidency of the United States, leadership of the free world, or what used to be the free world, but increasingly the free world is in our rear view mirror. And since we're talking about Haiti, we evacuated the embassy in Haiti. And since Joe Biden became president, remember, we've played the audio before of Joe Biden saying he's going to restore our standing in the world because he's a foreign policy expert, and the New York Times told us this too. He's evacuated 6 American embassies around the world in 3 years since he became president. This is America in retreat, which means it's the Western world, Western civilization. Scratch that. Civilization is in retreat, and the troglodytes are on the march, and the Democrats are helping the troglodytes and not Western civilization. You know, the traditional role of the United States of America has been to stand with civilization against the troglodytes, but the Democrat Party is now the left, and nobody's murdered more people than the left and destroyed more countries than the left. And the left is now here, and they're unveiling their program right before our very eyes. Amazing stuff. Also, we have learned that the Democrats and Liz Cheney in the January 6th panel, remember January 6th? That was the day that the police shot Ashley Babbitt to death while unarmed for allegedly trespassing after she served 12 years in the Air Force. And she'd be a hero of the Democrat Party if she hung out with drug dealers and her boyfriend shot a police officer during a drug raid. Then she'd be a hero. Say her name. Yeah, shove her name. How about that? So now the January 6th panel, it turns out, withheld crucial evidence from the public and from the Republicans because they're criminals, because they're not liberals, they're the left. And then there's Liz Cheney. She's lost her mind because of TDS. But that's another thing. The Democrats' January 6th panel withheld crucial evidence, including the denial from Trump's Secret Service driver. Remember that fake story they told about how Donald Trump, nimble as a gymnast, climbed through the window from the back of the limousine, the SUV, to the front to grab the steering wheel and tell the agent, no, we're going to the Capitol. It was all a lie. The January 6th panel knew that, and they made sure that the lie lived and that the truth was murdered, drowned in the bassinet, because these are not truth people. They're liars, and they're criminals because they're leftists. That's the thing. They love cannibals. They love terrorists. They support Hamas and barbecue, but not the Republican Party flag-waving people serve in the military like Ashley Babbitt. They'll shoot you and kill you for trespassing. And just amazing stuff. So we got that they lied about, and the steering wheel story. And there's also another one that they were caught lying the January 6th panel and withholding information out about President Trump recommending, suggesting, and offering up the National Guard for January 6th, and Nancy Pelosi, who is a criminal, and her barbecue-loving, cannibal-loving, Hamas-loving, Iran-loving leftists, they say, oh, no, we don't need any security. We want to create an incident that we can pretend is January 6th, that we can pretend, rather, is September 11th and Pearl Harbor, which is what they did. And that was after they burned down our country from coast to coast because St. George of Fentanyl died of heart failure while resisting arrest during his last felony. But the junkie, felon, career criminal, hero of the Democrat Party, young woman who was hanging out with her drug dealer ex-boyfriend and her gun-toting current boyfriend, whose boyfriend shot a police officer when they came to serve a drug warrant. She's the hero of the story. Breonna Taylor, who she's the hero of the story. George Floyd is the hero of the story, right? But Laken Riley, they could care less about because she had her head smashed in by a Democrat voter who is really a Venezuelan criminal gang member that came in illegally thanks to Joe Biden and murdered a 22-year-old nursing student. And that's all just fine. Yes, it is. The Democrat Party is demented. All right? They could care less about Laken Riley, but Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, they'll burn the country down for. Say her name, honestly. And they love Barbecue the Cannibal in Haiti, and they love Hamas. We're sending big-time relief to the terrorists, the genocidal anti-Semites of Hamas. We send billions of dollars to the Ayatollahs in Iran. Now we're sending relief to Barbecue and the Cannibals in Haiti, and they love George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, but could care less about Laken Riley. This is a mentally ill group of people. It honestly is. And the fabricated that climb over the back of the front seat of the SUV limousine be a really hard thing to do in one of those armored limos. There's not a lot of room to move about inside there, but never mind that. And they withheld the exculpatory evidence because, well, they should all be disbarred if any of them are lawyers, and all of them are, I think. They should all be disbarred for the criminal abuse of their power on Capitol Hill. Remember the prosecutor Mike Nifong. We like to remember the name Mike Nifong. He was the prosecutor that went after the Duke lacrosse team and withheld exculpatory evidence that would vindicate the members of the lacrosse team who were not guilty of doing anything. And Mike Nifong wanted to jail them because he's resentful, probably because of maybe a microappendage or something, some kind of a psychological issue that Mike Nifong has. And he tried to railroad these fine young men. And when it was discovered that he withheld all of the exculpatory information to try to railroad them, which is illegal, thankfully he was disbarred and he was thrown into jail. Only very briefly. It was largely symbolic, but Mike Nifong belonged in prison for what he tried to do to those young men, the Duke lacrosse team, and he deserved to be disbarred. Now, I would argue that these lawyers, members of Congress, all on the January 6th panel should be disbarred for trying to railroad through lies and withholding exculpatory evidence President Trump, and I know the rules of the court don't apply, but I don't care. They still violated every ethics canon that exists. They have ethics canons in the legal profession, though they're almost universally ignored, but they exist. And they'll be ignored again this time because Democrats, they love cannibals, they love terrorists, they love ayatollahs, but they hate the United States of America and our Constitution and so many other things. Yeah. CNN refused to run an ad which correctly blamed Joe Biden for young Laken Riley's death. Because they're a political organization. CNN also lying about Katie Britt, Senator Katie Britt, and her Republican response, CNN is not a news organization. I know I used to work there. I had to leave long ago because of what they did and what they were doing. Amazing stuff. The Democrats are bringing back 3/5 of a person. You know, the Democrats, they demanded that slaves, when the Democrats were keeping slaves, they demanded that slaves be counted as 3/5 of a person so they could get more seats in the House of Representatives. The new slaves are for the Democrat Party are illegal aliens, gang members released from prisons in Venezuela, Haitians who are, cannibals, members of Barbecue's gang. And the Democrats want to count the illegal aliens, mostly in Democrat-run sanctuary cities and sanctuary states, for purposes of adding seats to the House of Representatives. It's a replay of 3/5 of a person because the Democrats are still advancing the cause of slavery. This time it's illegal aliens. And they constantly tell us, who's going to clean the dishes at the restaurants you go to? Who's going to mow your lawn? They think of these people as slaves, and now they want to count them as 3/5 of a person again. Amazing stuff, your Democrat Party. We got communist China, more anti-Semitism in Ivy League universities. This guy should be deported today. He's a terrorist-loving terrorist. And, the CIA continues to lie to us. Surprise, surprise. This time caught lying about the origins of COVID-19 because they're not on our side. Democrats want to murder pizza in New York City because there's nothing that they won't destroy. We're at 888-630-9625. Hey, it's Chris Plant, excited to tell you about our July 2024 Listener Sea Cruise. We'll be sailing around the British Isles, visiting Scotland and Ireland. Please join us. Visit ChrisPlantCruise.com. All right, let's take a phone call. The Democrat Party hates the Jews, but they love the terrorists. So it's not like they're loveless. They love Hamas and the Ayatollahs. They just hate the Jews in Israel. And they're going to build them a port, Hamas. And then they're going to send money. I don't know if you've seen this, but we're going to send our hard-earned tax dollars to support Barbecue and the cannibals in Haiti because the Democrat Party, and I think maybe we should send them sandwiches or something instead. Maybe shawarmas. I like those shawarmas. It'd be very cross-cultural. We could have Hamas go there and set up shawarma stands in Port-au-Prince, and then everybody could enjoy some charred meat that doesn't have to be picked off of a human arm, the way that video showed a couple of days ago. The internet has made that video disappear, though. I don't know if anybody saved it. But we got that. The Democrats, what is it with them? They're sure not the Democrats that we used to have. In fact, as I think you know, the Democratic Party isn't. You'll be surprised to learn that Joe Biden's new budget is full of tax increases, and they lie about them because they're liars, and gigantic spending sprees that only a drunken communist would engage in, trying to bankrupt the United States and drive the national debt into crazy land, which is what the left is here to do. It's the Cloward and Piven strategy from way back. But right now, let's go to the telephones, talk to the nice people, because there are a great many normal people out there. In fact, today I'm wearing my Remember Normal T-shirt right here on my chest. Remember Normal, see, with an American flag. There it is. And it's getting harder and harder to remember normal as it becomes a smaller and smaller object in the rearview mirror because the left is here and they're destroying everything. But at least they love cannibals, communists, and terrorists. That's your Democrat Party. Let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Cindy calling from Nevada. Cindy, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, Chris. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
By how
Uh-oh, your phone is getting away from you. It's trying to escape you, your phone.
Oh, I said I continue to be baffled all the time that so many Jewish Americans, the majority, are still Democrats. especially looking at the Senate and Congress. It's frightening. I feel like Billy Burke needs to come down from the sky with a magic wand and a ball gown and tap each one of them and say, are you a good Jew or a bad Jew?
It is an amazing thing to see, isn't it, Cindy? The Democrat Party, yeah, I mean, you'd always think of, and, traditionally, not to stereotype, but Jewish Americans tend to vote Democrat for whatever inexplicable reason. Goes back to something generations ago. But now they are obviously, the Democrat Party is obviously the party of the anti-Semite, and they're pro-Hamas and anti-Israel. I, for example, Cindy, I am proud to say out loud, I am a Zionist. I believe in the right of the state of Israel to exist. I'm familiar enough with what happened in World War II. Only my parents' generation, don't have to go back too far. And then, of course, it goes back to the days of Abraham, and all that. But, history is a slippery thing for a lot of people. Now, Cindy, are you yourself Jewish?
My husband is. And when we watch various clips from Congress, and my husband will turn to me and say, well, that's a Jew.
Honestly, it's completely
that's the way that they do. He's baffled, and I'm waiting for a poll to come out. We hear the polls about how African Americans and Latinos are starting to gradually move towards the right.
Yeah, well, not fast enough, I got to tell you. And it's embarrassing. And I have Jewish friends that are Democrats, and I have Jewish friends that are conservatives as well. But I just don't understand how at this point in time, it's like, going to Madison Square Garden to put on your armband and march around and be a proud Jew with the Socialist Workers' Party out of Germany. It's an amazing thing. Cindy, thank you for the call and for raising that issue, and it is an issue. The Democrat Party, and I want to share some stuff with you out of the Middle East, because these crazy people, yesterday I shared with you the fact that the Pentagon, the U.S. Central Command, was sending a ship, dispatching a ship, a U.S. naval ship. It's actually, strangely enough, a U.S. Army vessel, but it is going to steam very, very slowly across the Atlantic Ocean, then through the Strait of Gibraltar, and then very, very slowly eastward in the Mediterranean Sea until it gets to Israel and the beaches of Gaza. And they're going to build a port facility for a terrorist organization known as Hamas, so that they can get supplies to a terrorist organization whose charter calls for the total destruction of the state of Israel and death to the Jews. And the Democrat Party, calling themselves liberals all the while, are assuring us that this is the right thing to do morally, when, of course, that's the opposite of the truth. But the left and morality, there's a lot of daylight between those two. The U.S. Central Command, I shared with you yesterday, dispatching a U.S. Army vessel, the General Frank S. Besson, to the eastern Mediterranean, where it will build a pier, a port facility for a terrorist army called Hamas, so we can funnel supplies and provide logistics to a terrorist genocidal death cult. And the Democrats are backing them. Now, one of the absurd things about all this, the ship, the Besson, leaving out of Joint Base Langley Eustis in Virginia, is one of the slowest ships you're going to find anywhere, has a maximum speed of 10 or 12 knots, and it's expected to take more than a month to get there before it can start doing anything. But at least their stated intention in the Biden White House is to provide all the support they can to genocidal Islamists, because the Democrats are not on our side. And what they're really worried about is the pro-terrorist vote in Michigan, because there are a lot of Muslims who are largely from Middle Eastern countries that have taken up residence in Dearborn, Michigan, and elsewhere in Michigan. And the vote is significant enough where they voted, more than 100,000 of them voted uncommitted when the Democrats had their primary election in the state of Michigan. And the Democrats are in a gender panic, And they say, we can't lose Michigan. That's a key swing state. If we lose Michigan, we could lose the presidency. And then pro-American people, pro-capitalist people, responsible adults who send mean tweets could be in charge. And we've got to stop that because, the Democrat Party backing Tehran, Gaza, the genocide of the Jews, and now cannibals in Haiti. That's your Democrat Party. Amazing stuff. Who else do they support? Well, everything they do by their actions, they support Putin economically with the Biden energy policies. Best news in the world for Putin, who's waging war against Ukraine. Ukraine paid millions of dollars to the Biden family, and the New York Times and CNN are fine with that. But since we're talking about it, Cindy, there's another story from the Washington Free Beacon. Washington Free Beacon, which covers the news, even though the Washington Post doesn't. MIT, the Massachusetts Gesundheit Institute of Technology, MIT faculty member goes on anti-Semitic tirade after House Education Committee requests documents from school. That is pretty amazing. And here is one of their MIT people, whose name is Afif, A-F-I-F, Akrabawi, who's at MIT. I want to make it clear that Republican Congresswoman Virginia Fox, I want to make it clear that Chairwoman Virginia Fox is a treasonous Zionist tool. He doesn't keep it that clean throughout the whole thing, but Massachusetts Institute of Technology faculty member went on an anti-Semitic tirade. Remember, the president of MIT was called up to Capitol Hill, and she was it's all women. They're all DEI anti-Semites. I didn't know that DEI, you benefited under DEI rules if you're a genocidal Jew hater, because that's an interesting add-on. So MIT faculty member went on an anti-Semitic tirade after a House of Representatives Committee on Education and the Workforce pressed the school, MIT, to provide internal documents about its response to the outbreak of anti-Semitism on campus. Now, is a postdoctoral associate in MIT's Tanagawa Neuroscience Lab, and I can talk, Afif Akrabawi. He derided the committee chairwoman, Virginia Fox, a Republican member of Congress from North Carolina, as a treasonous Zionist tool, a genocide enabler, says the pro-genocide MIT staffer, and a disgusting, I can't use the word here, it's the slang word for feces, a disgusting beep stain of a human. All right, now this is the guy, and he's employed by MIT. And he called the House of Representatives Israeli bootlickers. Now, Akrabawi also referred to American politicians as loyal prostitutes of Netanyahu, and he lamented the influence of Jewish political groups, and then referred to Israelis as parasites. Classic Nazi lexicon here. To make it clear, your representatives are eager cucks for defense contractors and AIPAC, he wrote. My words are dangerous because they may alert a distracted American public to the parasites using their country as a host species. See, because the Jews are ticks, blood-sucking parasites. This is the MIT guy. Pretty amazing stuff. Akrabawi's tirade came in the wake of a letter from Congresswoman Fox to MIT President Sally Kornbluth that panned Kornbluth's response to several anti-Semitic incidents on campus and pressed the school to provide internal documents shedding light on its policies and code of conduct. But the Akrabawi of MIT said Israel has no future in this world. So and he's a Palestinian Canadian. He's not even an American, and he's paid by MIT to share his views like this, because when you call yourself a liberal, this is free speech. See, being a genocidal anti-Semite, this self-identified Palestinian Canadian, he should probably be airdropped along with a pallet of food along the beach in Gaza. What do you think? That's pretty crazy stuff. So we got that going for us. And now, yesterday at the Pentagon, yesterday at the United States Pentagon, I worked at the Pentagon for 10 years. I love the Pentagon. It's a great place, a lot of fun, all kinds of good stuff going on. They've got a major general there, a 2-star general, Pat Ryder, because now even their spokesmen, who are always civilians, are now military uniform-wearing military people. In the Biden administration, the Secretary of Defense just hung up his uniform and then became Secretary of Defense. We're more and more like Iran or Iraq every day. Pentagon presser, and this actually was from Friday, where they're asked, hey, what are we doing building a port facility for a terrorist organization? Major General Pat Ryder.
I think the key point here is that if Hamas truly believes that the Palestinian people are suffering, then why would they want to take this aid and use it for themselves to support their terrorist organization? Or do they truly care about the Palestinian people and want this aid to get to them? So one would hope that this aid will get to the people that are most deserving and in need.
Hope is not a strategy. I learned that long ago. One would hope that, people would stop shooting each other in Washington, D.C. One would hope there would be no carjackings in Washington because Democrats love carjacking people. And they love shooting people, too. Democrats do. That was one of the dumbest answers I've ever heard from anybody, ever, not just in uniform. Major General, 2-star General Pat Ryder. If Hamas truly believes, if they truly care about the Palestinian people, there are about 1,000 reasons to believe that that is a joke line. There should be a laugh track over that response. That's completely ridiculous. We hope. How dumb has this country gotten, the United States of America? We're run by really dumb people and unserious people, but I'm going to just hope, because, he's hoping that Hamas is not a genocidal death cult when we already know that Hamas is a genocidal death cult. And what happens when they attack Americans at the pier and the supply ships coming in and they kill people? I raised this the moment I heard that they were planning on building a port facility there. I said, okay, when we build it and Hamas comes in and starts shooting up our guys and the ships, do we shoot back to defend them? Because then we're at war, aren't we? But these people are too stupid. And I got to say, Pat Ryder, he's got his strategy as hope. That's not a good strategy. There was a reporter there, too.
Do you anticipate that Hamas will try to fire on the operation?
Look, I mean, that's certainly a risk, again. But if if Hamas truly does care about Palestinian people, then, again, one would hope that this international mission to deliver aid to people who need it would be able to happen unhindered.
How stupid are you, honestly? How dishonest? Was he laughing? Was everybody laughing in the Pentagon briefing room there? If Hamas truly does care about the Palestinian people, we have a track record we can look at here. Are we all supposed to be as dumb as that answer? Because that's embarrassing to adult men.
If Hamas truly does care about the Palestinian people, then, again, one would hope that this international mission to deliver aid to people who need it would be able to happen unhindered.
Yeah, unhindered. Sure. We're gonna go in and we're gonna build a port facility in the Gaza in the Mediterranean. They truly do care about the Palestinian people. Then we would hope. We're getting dumber and dumber. More and more dishonest. That reporter asking the question was, you could hear just in the audio, rolling his eyes and shaking his head, sucking his teeth, curling his lip. You must be kidding me. This is really what you're trying to sell the American people? General, you embarrass yourself. You humiliate yourself. You should resign in order to preserve your integrity and your self-respect. You should come out and tell the truth because you're being humiliated. Baghdad Bob was more honest than you on certain days. No, there is no America in Baghdad. As the American tanks, the Marine Corps tanks, rolled behind Baghdad Bob. You're humiliating yourself, General. I'm sure you're a nice person. Time to resign. Time to hang up the uniform. Go get a job with Raytheon or something much more honorable. What an embarrassment. Our Democrat Party. It's an election year. Now, in New York City, there are flyers pinned up all over the city with a Palestinian flag pattern. And one of them says, "Rape is resistance. Free Palestine by any means necessary," using the Democrat Party slogan, by any means necessary. And they mean it. They'll burn everything down, destroy, and kill. They're the left. Rape is resistance, so justifying, legitimizing the large-scale, massive rapes and kidnappings and butchered deaths of Israeli citizens. And the other one is, babies are occupiers too. Free Palestine by any means necessary. That means killing babies is fair game because babies are occupiers too. Now the Democrats, we got 65 million of them or something here. They call it choice. But you can see why they have, by any means necessary, the left and the jihadis have a lot in common. They're a murderous, bloodthirsty bunch of ghouls on both sides. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Brian calling from Potomac, Maryland. Brian, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Chris, thank you so much for taking my call. My father was an F-104 pilot way back when, and he always used to have these great euphemisms and saying, and to the general, he would have responded, "You can hope in one hand and, for lack of a better term, go to the bathroom in another and see which one fills up first."
Yeah.
I think that's probably the most insane thing I've heard a flag officer say, and I feel like we're definitely in need of a Schwarzkopf, a generation of Schwarzkopf light generals. Just wanted your thoughts on that.
Well, I think that what this administration is bringing up through the ranks are transgender, gender dysphoric. They're so open-minded that their brains fell out. A generation of generals. Honestly, they want, if there were General Schwarzkopf in the ranks today, I think the Biden administration would force General Schwarzkopf out and make room for someone with gender dysphoria. And that sounds like a joke, and it is on some level, but it's also true. And you're right about this general.